What's going on, guys? It is me, Nevin Xavier, with another video. Today we are going to look at the Leica 100 to 400 f4 to 6.3 variable aperture lens. This is for the Micro Four Third mounts, so either you can use it with Panasonic or Olympus. And this is going to be my final review of the lens. I've been using this for around 2 years now, so I have a lot of sample footages to show you guys, and I'm going to tell you why I am selling the lens, so stick around. So as a Micro Four Third user, I use a Panasonic GH5, which is an excellent camera. I've been using it for around 2 years now, so I always wanted a wildlife lens, and this was one of the best wildlife lens for the Panasonic system, especially when it comes to the range. It's a 100 to 400 millimeter, which is equivalent to 200 to 800 millimeter on a full frame 35 millimeter equivalent. So that was definitely one of the main factor why I chose to pick this lens up rather than going with a, I think there for Olympus there is a 300 millimeter prime. Even for Panasonic, there is a few other telephoto lenses. When it comes to the range, I don't think any other system provides such a huge range in such a small package. I mean, look at the size of it. This is just 1 kilogram, just under 1 kilogram. So when you pair this with the Panasonic GH5, I have the GH5 right here. So you get a 200 to 400 millimeter lens in such a small package. I mean, you know, this could just go on your backpack. You can go on a proper wildlife trip and come back with some stellar pictures and videos. Talking about video, it is possible to take handheld footages with this lens, especially if you pair it with the Panasonic GH5 or any other Micro Four Third cameras these days which has IBIS. Once you pair this lens with the GH5, the dual IS feature works and it keeps the footage super stable. I will show you some of the footages with this combo handheld, especially at 400 millimeter, and I was super impressed, especially if you just want to take videos steady. So it acts as kind of like a monopod, to be honest. But if you try to pan, there might be a little bit jitter, so it won't look as professional. But if you are thinking of getting just a quick video, let's say if you see a spotted bird sitting on a tree, you can easily take video handheld steady shot. So you know, that is one of the main feature I really love about this lens. I mean, look at it, such a small package. You can even take handheld videos, because sometimes when you're out in the wild, you really don't have the time to set up a tripod or a monopod, unless you are a pro. You know, professionals, they usually take their time. They probably have more time than a hobbyist. So you know, when it comes to things like that, shooting handheld, it is such a big advantage of this lens. I recently picked up another lens, the Sigma 150 to 600 for the Canon mount, and you know, you really can't shoot handheld videos with it. You can get away with handheld photos, but definitely not videos. Talking about taking photos with this camera, I have even tried to reduce the shutter speed up to 1/100, which is, for such a long lens, getting a sharp picture at 1/100 is a big deal, because especially when it comes to Micro Four Third system, the sensor is small. You really don't have much light coming in, so you know, if you want to take a picture, you really have to bump up the ISO. The only way to get a better picture other than bumping up the ISO is to reduce the shutter speed, and you know, it's really impressive how much you can push this. So after all these years use, I really love this lens. When it comes to sharpness, the range is, that is one of the main selling factor for me. So why am I selling this lens? Because you know, when you think about it, this is such a small package, such a powerful lens with a great camera. But since I switched to Fuji system, and especially when it comes to traveling, I really don't want to take two cameras with me, especially two systems. I don't mind taking two cameras, but I really don't want to take two systems. So I really had to ditch the Panasonic system, because when it comes to image quality, Fuji is definitely much better, slightly bigger sensor, and image quality is much better. So that was one of the main factor why I am selling the lens. In fact, I just sold the lens on eBay for around 750 British pounds. Initially, I picked this lens for I think around 1200 British pounds, which I think for such a good big range like 100 to 400, it is a pretty good deal when you think about it, because when you look at the other competition, for example, if you look at a Canon 100 400 millimeter lens or something, it is slightly more expensive. And since this is a Micro Four system, you're getting up to 800 millimeters. So when you look at the 800 millimeter lens on Canon or Nikon, it is really expensive. I'm definitely going to miss the small form factor of this lens, of the whole system, to be honest, the GH5 and the lens. Now let's talk about the negatives of this lens. To be honest, there is not much negative. It is not the lens's problem, since it is for the Micro Four Thirds system. And at the longer end, the f-stop is 6.3, which is definitely not enough for grabbing enough light, especially if the subject is not lit. Like for example, if you're shooting early in the morning or towards the end of the day, you really have to bump up the ISO, otherwise you are definitely not getting a good image out of the sensor. So that is something to really think of. So I think where the lens really shines is when there is like enough light, when the subject is properly lit. That is exactly when this lens shines. So if you are really thinking of buying this lens to shoot early mornings or late evenings, to be honest, that's when most of the wildlife is out. So there's something to consider. At the longer end, at 400 millimeter, f6.3 is definitely not enough to grab enough light, unless Micro Four Thirds system come up with some kind of new technology where the ISO performance is much better, which I really don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So that is not an option. Even though the image stabilization is really good with this lens, it is definitely not good enough to do a slight pan movement for video, which is understandable because when you look at it, it's a 400 millimeter lens. There are limitations for the stabilization. So, I'm not saying it as a complaint, but I wish I could do a pan. I'm guessing you are watching this video because you either want to buy this lens or you already have it. I'm going to tell you why you should buy this lens and why you shouldn't. From my experience, this is perfect for somebody who loves to travel, especially who loves to travel light. This is definitely a perfect combo because, look at it. You pair it with any Micro Four Thirds system camera. Most of the Micro Four Thirds system cameras are lightweight, and you get such a big range with such a light system. The whole combination is probably 1.5 kilogram, which is really lightweight for such a telephoto lens. So if the weight is bothering you, definitely this is the lens to go, because you do get professional looking photos and videos. You don't need to carry a tripod for it. So that is a huge plus, because especially if you're a hobbyist, you are going for, let's say you are going for a safari for a couple of days and you really don't have the time to set up the tripod, unless you are a professional who has time, who can wait in one place for a long time, who can set up the tripod. That is a different scenario. But for normal people, like most 80% of the travelers, they like to take pictures handheld. So definitely this is that lens which you can travel with it for a very long time, and still you won't get tired. If I had a choice, I would have kept this lens, but since I'm moving away from the Micro Four Thirds system because I really love the Fujifilm ecosystem, so if it wasn't for the Fujifilm, I wouldn't have sold my lens. So that is the only reason why I am switching. I'm really not looking forward to use a tripod on my Fujifilm system camera for wildlife shots. It is going to be very tough. I mean, I even think I will probably leave my Sigma 150 to 600 some days, and I probably won't even use it because after you carry that kind of weight for some time, you get tired and you just don't want to use it anymore. That is one of the main advantages of Micro Four Thirds system. It is so compact, and there is more chances you are taking it out more, and hence you're going to get more shots. So I would definitely recommend it for anybody who want to travel light, who is a hobbyist or an amateur photographer who want to take good contents, good wildlife pictures, both photo and video. This will do the job. But when it comes to professional, if you're a professional and if you are thinking of buying this lens, it is a good choice unless you are planning to move away from the Micro Four Thirds system, because by the looks of it, the Micro Four Thirds system is kind of dying. So I don't know how long the whole system will be there in future. So maybe look for other camera systems like full frame or APS-C to future-proof yourself. So maybe don't invest in this lens. Maybe try some other lens for the full frame bodies. That is my advice. But at the end of the day, it is your personal choice which system you want to stick to. I do know a lot of professionals who use the Micro Four Thirds system, and they still come with stellar pictures and videos. So I'm not saying it is a bad system to be with, but by the looks of where the industry is going, Micro Four Thirds system is kind of dying. This might be a bit controversial, but I don't want to get in too much into it. I really love the system. As I said, the only reason I'm selling is because I switched to Fujifilm. All right, that's it from me, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you guys like the video, please do give the video a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. And I will see you for the next one. Thank you.